Combaticon combined to form root. Oh, okay, we're back to the red of cargo car now. So, some people were asking me about how I do this. I've written a bit of description on forum. Have a look in Gundam Eclipse, but I thought I would actually show you. So, as you can see, these pieces are not actually sprayed that well, but it's actually surprisingly good. So I'm going to go with it anyway. The way I do it, as I showed you before, is to basically doing a heavy dry brush. A dry brush with a bit too much paint on it, and you do it with the color that's slightly too dark for your liking, and then you do a more proper dry brush. In this case, is going to be the red gore. So this is a bit more of a proper dry brush. The majority of the edges and some of the bigger surface, and then right at the end you use the color that's good for highlighting, and you literally use sparingly and to only catch the most prominent of edges. So need a little bit of water anyway. So let's see, I'm going to do it to a piece that is a little bit easier to manage. Let's go with this one. So I need to check where I am. So I'm around about here, I think. So first check on your thumb just to make sure that it covers reasonably well. Do a few strokes to make sure that the thickness is good enough. In this case, a little bit too wet, but it doesn't really matter because remember this is a color that's slightly too dark for the purpose. So even if you put it on too thick, remember that you're going to tune it up a little bit again with the next layer of paint. So as you can see, I'm using a wet big brush so that I only catch the big surface with the heavy dry brush. In fact, don't think this is actually properly called dry brush, to be honest. As many people mentioned on a various forum, the word dry brush is actually being used incorrectly in many places. Now I'm going to go on to the other pieces first, and waiting for this one to actually completely dry up. Yep, I'll come back to this one afterward. I'm going to set this aside so that I know which one it is. The Metroid red is done. Just a little bit of a touch up on some of the bigger pieces. Yep, that's good. That's good already. A little bit. A little bit on the back, not behind that. That is actually very, very nice. Next coat is the red gore. So this is a bit brighter and it's more or less the color that we want. Now, before we use a relatively high amount of paint every time we paint it on. Now this time around we use a bit less. Not as little as a proper dry brush would do, but still reasonably low amount of paint. And one way to do it is actually make sure your brush is just a little bit wet, because that will dilute the paint a little bit. You can't really make a wetter coat like we did on the first one, because this time around the color is going to be very prominent, and you're not going to do a lot more to hide it anymore. So this is the genuine, more or less what I would say is the genuine coat. So you have to do it slower. You have to do it, if it means that you have to do it in 2 layers, so be it. It would be better for it to be 2 layers than do it in 1 layer and ruins it. There you go. The one here is the one that has the 1 layer of red gore on, i.e. the color we want, and this is the one without. So you can see the color change slightly now. Now this is actually a little bit not enough, so I'm going to wait for it to dry a little bit and we're going to put a second coat on. Okay, now I was going to say that we're going to go with the highlight right now, but one thing I've discovered is that doing my work with the first 2 layers, I have actually overpainted a few of the stuff, mainly because some of the surfaces are quite big. I want it to be a bit smoother, so I use a little bit too much paint on them, and therefore some of the crevices has gone a bit too bright instead of having the original red, dark crimson and black line on them. There, you can see it. This is what I want, and this side is what happened to some of the parts. Can you actually see it? Yep. You can see it. This one you can actually see some of the line. While this side you can't see anything. So, fortunately, I have to do an extra step here. I think this will do. The Nolan oil. The Nolan oil is a wash. Alternatively, you can actually thin down very thin down dark brown or black paint. You can actually create something of a similar effect as well. So let's see. So it's a very thin down paint. So all you have to do is to get a reasonable amount. No, actually, don't use too much. This stuff would definitely darken everything that you have done so far. But its main focus is that it will seep into crevices. So the big, yeah, basically that's what it is. It's a wash. Let's get you focus here. There you go. As you can see, that it has darkened mainly the crevices. One thing to be very careful of is that it will darken and it will also sometimes, unfortunately, concentrate on places that you don't want. In my case, I have choices to actually go over the paint the unit again with the same red core that I have used before. So I'm not too worried. Okay, I will leave it as that. I'll do it on every single thing here, and when we're back, I will have put on a second layer of the second red gore color, so that it will look alright. Okay, join me in a bit. Finally, the last part is the highlight. Now this one has to be extremely thin because the color in here is more than likely not the color you want to actually show up as the major color on the part. All it's trying to do is to simulate light hitting the surface and glowing. So which one will be easy to show? Let's do it with the helmet. Trying to do it so that I can see what I'm doing. So here is the slight difference. In overall, the tone of the color has definitely changed a bit more purplish, which is actually what I want for the recycle. So yeah, and with that, I'm gonna continue on for the rest of my day 2 of the 72 hours group build. So this is basically it for me. Join me in the next video where hopefully, actually it's not day 2, it is day 3. Damn! Yeah, join me on my last on the last 2 hours of my 72 hours while I finish the whole thing, hopefully.